Lovely.
Yes, we are live. How are you,
I'm
Catherine?
good. I'm good. I'm actually glad to see you. I've missed you.
It's been a
Um,
while,
yeah,
hasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But you're very active and busy as always.
Oh, what can we do? Life. When it throws you here, just go there. If it gives you lemons, make lemonade out of it. It's been
Exactly.
very busy
Yeah.
recently. But we can't complain because the weather has been great in the UK lately.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so that's a positive thing to look at, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I find it really interesting, the contradiction or the contrast.
Hmm.
When the northern hemisphere is having summer, we're in winter, when you're having spring. Well, we're in winter now, but
Hmm.
same, I lived in New York for a year,
Hmm.
and when I was in winter over there, everyone back here was at the beach. They were
Yeah.
summer. So,
Yeah. Oh, I feel very envious of you living in Australia. I feel like you are in this place where everybody wants to be. The weather is fabulous all year round. You see, when sometimes you tell me you've got a storm or the weather is quite rough, I'm like, how? Because what we see on TV is an
yeah.
Australia which is fabulous all year round.
Well, it has its moments, but I like the cold and
Mm,
I like the rain, and
mm,
the sometimes it can be a bit cold, but it's not. We don't have the winters that the UK have, but
mm,
we have had when they say when it rains it pours. We've had some really serious floods up north. I'm on the
mm,
north side of Sydney, but further up north into the
mm.
farmlands and the outer region of New South Wales, and a lot of farms have lost their homes, and over 100 people. So what happens? We've got really extreme weather here in Australia. Remember, a
Mm,
few years ago we had those dreadful bushfires. They were the worst in my living memory of bushfires. They were so bad. But the weather here is good. I mean, I got palm trees outside.
mm,
I see the ocean from my bedroom window. I just look down because I'm on the top of the hill. I just
mm,
look down and there's the ocean just there. It's 10-minute walk. I live in an ideal location. So
Such,
how have you been?
such a
What's
lucky
happening?
woman you are, I'm
I
telling you.
am.
I've been
I am.
fine. We have just concluded that royal visit. I know you must have been following up on it. Yesterday we had a live stream here. We missed you so much. We thought you could come on and give your thoughts about how you think, the royal visit went, because I know you were in Australia when King Charles and Camilla visited last time. So you sort
Mm.
of know how the environment looks when royals are in the country. So I'm quite sure you've been following up on the royal visit to Canada as well. And we thought it would be great to have your insight on how you think it went.
Oh, it did remind me. I was watching it, and
Mm,
um, it did remind me of the Australian tour because we were fast moving towards a republic for some time now, and
mm,
it was so bad that the magazine racks didn't have any royal family on there for sometimes months at a time, whereas before the
mm,
magazine racks in the supermarket and newsagents were full of royal photos.
mm,
Uh, Now we're seeing this month we've got the Princess of Wales on the front cover of the Women's Weekly. We're seeing photos of the King and Queen, and there's news reports of them in Canada. The news reports are a bit mixed, but I'm not surprised.
mm,
That's to be expected. But the crowds were no different to Australia because uh, my son said to me, he said, "Yeah, but the crowds are not what they used to be with the Queen." I said, "No one's ever going to get that again." I said, because the difference today is social media. Back then, and Prince Philip was responsible for bringing the royal family into the electronic age with the
Mm,
Queen's speech, and then traveling and filming and taking photographs. Like you wouldn't get that again. But the Australian tour looked like the Canadian tour, and the Canadian tour looked like the Australian tour. It was absolutely wonderful. And uh, the king looks so well.
mm,
I think, I sense that he felt I did it because it was a whistle stop tour, wasn't it? They didn't
mm,
stay long.
mm,
And I just saw this look of achievement on him that he is well deserved. It's
mm, mm,
like,
mm,
a man of his years and a man
mm,
of, he's for 16 months now into his chemo treatment.
mm,
And he did this whistle stop tour. I'm sure he had his doctor traveling with him, but come on, it's really fantastic. But the uh, Canada were heading the same way as Australia. They were really loud howls and calls for a republic for quite some time, and now it's been quelled. It'll be a generation now before that Republican call. I mean, it ebbs and flows, but
mm,
we've set the Republican movement back a generation here. That
mm,
that's and that's what I said to my son. I said, "Oh no," I said, "you didn't see what I saw." I said they had to close off the circular quay. They had to close and then send everyone up the back and around the top, around to the botanical gardens. And then there was a ship a cruise liner in the harbour, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people on top of the cruise watching it all. It was fantastic. It
it
was,
was.
I've never seen anything like it. And
Mm,
Canada looked the same. It looked, the way everyone was just pulling and jumping and grinning and smiling. It was the same in Australia. And that's what I saw in Canada. And I was so thrilled for the king. It was
mm, mm,
wonderful.
mm. It is wonderful, and for him, obviously, to uh, go and perform ceremonial duties in this country, where no monarch had done so in so many years, is great, isn't it? So he made that history. The timing of the visit itself was magnificent, especially with those issues Canada is facing with the United States. So the king is always going to bring back that sort of powers to Canada, portraying it as a sovereign power, of course. But also, the king carries himself with a lot of respect from world leaders. So, to be seen in Canada addressing the Canadian Parliament as head of state, all this respect and despising that has been Donald Trump has sort of in the recent past, it's all gonna be washed away and Canada back in glory. But it was great, isn't it? Camilla looked very well. I thought they
Yes.
absolutely brilliant.
I,
Uh,
I thought she looked I thought she looked better in
mm,
Canada than she did in Australia. In Australia, she seemed really frail, and
mm,
I noticed a few times the king looked back a few times to make sure she was okay.
mm,
Um, so I did, and I got up quite close to Camilla a couple of times, and she shook my hand. So I saw that she did look frail, and the little group I was with, they said the same. But in Canada, she looked sturdier. And remember, they did Samoa as well when they
mm,
came to Australia.
mm,
They had that, and remember the Queen was very emotional behind her fan in Samoa.
mm,
So she was fragile when she was in Australia, but she did a stellar job.
mm,
I'm not faulting her, But I did think in Canada she looked healthier, she looked stronger, and I was pleased to see that. To be honest, you don't want to see people struggling. It doesn't matter what you think of them. A lot of people don't like Camilla, but yeah, I don't
What it
mind
is,
her.
it is what it
I,
is, isn't it? We've got to
she
support
deserves
them.
our respect.
She does, yeah, she does. She stood there for the king during those very challenging times, the cancer diagnosis. And she hasn't also been the best health wise, but she pulled her wig and came out and stepped out for the king on numerous occasions. We had Catherine, Princess of Wales, out of play. Prince William's diary was very controlled at the time because he was also looking after his wife.
Of
So,
course.
who did we have in the mix? We had Queen Camilla running around like a headless chicken. Now, we could have had Princess Anne and Prince Edward giving, supporting in that space of time during the cancer diagnosis. But remember, Princess Anne also got knocked off her horse, so she went man down for a good few weeks. And Prince Edward himself wasn't feeling very well. So is the time we had Camilla as the only senior royal on ground. So we've got to give her credit. I think we rarely uh, give her these praises, but this time round, adding the Canadian visit onto it, I think she deserves all the praise that we can give to her.
Well, we mustn't forget. Um, I mean, you and I, you're your own man. I'm my own woman. We can think for ourselves. We're not
Mm,
stupid. We're not naive, but we have deep respect for the crown, for those who carry and we have a lot of empathy, right?
mhm,
And Camilla, her husband is very ill. And I'm telling you, that is really destabilizing. When my husband was ill and receiving cancer treatment, and I had a son who was sick as well at the time,
mm,
she was carrying a huge load to have to step up like that when other royal members couldn't. Like,
mm.
credit where it's due. This woman is a force of nature.
She is absolute force of nature. She is, and she
Mm.
stood the storm, hasn't she? She,
Mm.
she has been one of the most hated women, for all those years coming up to the time she stepped onto that throne, and to see her transformation from all of that to what she is today, and not allowing all of that to come into her way of performing and being confident out there is so great to see. She's the patron of so many charities here. She's championing women domestic violence. She's done a lot of charities to do with reading and poetry. She's done great. And over Christmas, she leads all these small kids groups that come to Buckingham Palace and read books. And I tell you what, the experiences those young families are talking about after interacting with Camilla through those book reading sessions are immense. So she's
Mm.
doing great
Mm.
work. She deserves all these praises. They've
She
come on.
does.
They've come on at such a later stage onto that throne. We forget that just like her husband, the king, she's been the longest queen in waiting to get to the throne. So she steps on it. Let us allow her to enjoy her moments. Let us.
I agree. I think she
Mm,
deserves it. I had lunch with some neighbors a month or so ago, and they're all royalists. And
mm,
my neighbor, who I'm a friend of, it was with her family, and
mm,
so they started asking me. She's obviously told them, oh, she runs a TikTok and YouTube channel, about the royals. They're Italians, right? So anyway, um, I brought up that, I went to the tour and I brought up about Camilla And I said to them this, and one of these guys actually is English. He's 60-year-old, and he was born in the UK. I think he's a Londoner, who's the husband, the brother-in-law of my friend, right? So anyway, I said, oh, Camilla, she's actually quite attractive. And they all just went, oh, no, no, no. They all just went crazy, and I said, no, I didn't say she's beautiful. I said,
Mm.
but she's a very attractive woman. She carries herself with real dignity. And I said, I saw her as close as I am to sitting next to my friend. I saw her this close, and her skin, oh my gosh, her skin was
Glowing. Mm.
beautiful. And
Mm.
her hands, beautiful soft hands, and everyone goes, well, she doesn't work. And I go, come on, I said, we don't need to be nitpicking. I said, as far as I'm concerned, anyone who can, as you rightly put it, weather the storm and come through all of those years of criticism, etc., I think she really deserves our respect. And this is, how I feel sometimes, come and go, and I get, a bit upset with the king at times. But, you know, look at him in Canada. He looked fantastic.
Oh, he
Give the
did.
guy his due.
He
It's
did. I
like,
agree. I
I just,
agree.
my hat tip, right?
Mm.
We've got to
Mm.
put things in perspective, and things change. And
Mm.
I think, I was thinking about this the other day, Francis. I thought, well, we didn't like, we thought the Queen was going to live forever, okay? We really did, didn't we? I mean,
Mm.
the writing was on the wall. She didn't look well, but we were still shocked when she died because we never believed she would go. We were so attached to her for so long. But when William comes to the throne, we will all be ready for that. So when
Mm.
Charles came to the throne, it felt like a jolt. It
Mm.
was sudden, right?
Mm.
Um, but when William comes, because all the preparations, you can see there's just this gentle, easy movement of transition behind the scenes. I'm not saying there's a soft regency. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when William and Catherine ascend the throne, we'll all be ready for it.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
going to be it's going to be normal, but it was
Mm.
difficult. There was a hard act for the
Mm.
king to follow when his mother died. It
Mm.
was a hard act to follow. Like, we did not want to accept this guy. We don't want
Yeah,
you. We want
I
our queen
know.
back.
And
like
this
like spoiled children.
this is one thing we forget as well, Catherine, to add on that, is that Charles comes in immediately after his mother, and
Yeah.
we forget how great his mother was. How his mother was a darling of the world, very loved. And so Charles takes over immediately, after, what happened. And he was always going to be up for a lot of, a big challenge, stepping into the big shoes that the queen had left wasn't going to be an easy task. And boy, he has done well to get this far.
Oh, I think he has. I think he's remarkable, and I think that you've got to hand it to the guy. He's
Yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
a calamity Jane.
Remember when he steps out, we see these
Yeah.
signposts, "Is not my king," yellow big sign.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a shock to him, isn't it? Because we didn't see those signposts when Queen Elizabeth was there. But then they
No.
become very pronounced in big, bold letters, yellow. He's not my king. And he stood there. Most of the time, these writings are flashed in front of him out on engagements, in King's birthday parade. You see this group right there in front of Buckingham Palace. But the king isn't phased about all of this. He's getting on with his job. So a man at his age, 74 he is, and Queen Camilla 77, there Camilla will actually be turning I think 78, 77 soon. Her birthday is in July. I forget the actual day, but we are coming closer to her birthday and she'll be turning 78. But you can see that at the age they are at, the age they came onto the throne, to resist all of these challenges and the resilience they've had to put up to push through the cancer times and, add the Meghan and Harry challenges, which were not there, in the early days of the Queen coming onto the throne. The Queen came onto the throne at the age of 25, very energetic. Things were great. Very different times to the times that Charles and Camilla have assumed the throne. So, boy, King Charles has faced more challenges than the Queen faced when she came onto that throne. And so we've got to give them praise to have got to where they are today. We have to.
Well, I agree with you, and because I just believe Donald Trump's trolling Canada because he wants the border shut because fentanyl coming through the Canadian border is a real problem in the US. So I'm not buying into a lot of the overarching narrative. I put that aside though, because I just feel like, wow, Canada and Australia are back in the game as far as the monarchy is concerned. Can you imagine the Republicans in Canada? They must be gnashing their teeth.
Hmm.
They are gnashing their teeth after this visit because they've been set back a generation now.
Oh, they've
It's
got, yeah, they
no
have
question.
no question about that. King Charles and his recent trip and how he left the whole parliament very excited. Seeing him deliver that historic speech alone,
Yeah.
it is very memorable. And I just love how he delivers his speeches with confidence. When he sat on that chair, yes, the king, the sovereign is in the house. So, and he brought a different feeling to the House of Parliament, to what they usually have. Don't forget that, this is the first time they've had, in so many years, a monarch, a head of state in the house. So you are right to say that this has set the Republicans 10 years back.
Oh, totally. Because wasn't the last monarch the
But
Queen
mm,
herself?
mm,
Wasn't
mm.
it? It was in 1957 when someone sat on that throne and delivered a speech. And it was this, I mean,
Is it
Queen Elizabeth.
1977? 19 went
Oh,
long way back.
1977. Okay. Because
Mm,
her, the Queen and Philip, oh, they were as dynamic as the whales. Their
mm,
beauty, their grace, their presence. They walk into a room and just everyone, loses their breath and their heart skips a beat.
mm, mm,
So I mean, the king has had a hard act to follow, and I think it showed on his face that he looked like a very happy man when it was all over because
mm.
he really kicked it out of the park.
Yeah, so let's take some time and recognize our friends who are online here that have joined us. Welcome to Francis Page Media Royal News Live. And we've got Catherine in the house. Catherine, say
Yeah.
hi to our friends. I don't know
Hi
if you
guys.
see how many are on.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've just opened up the comments. Becky,
Yes.
Francis, we all know Francis. Retroactive jealousy. Ooh,
Yes.
that sounds
Mark.
thoroughly dangerous.
Yes, that's my brother Mark.
Dorothy.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
And Gwendoline,
Yeah.
my sister, sending you lots of regards. Dorothy Pritchard, hello
Hi,
in
guys.
Canada. Dorothy, how was the King's visit? And Becky, too, in Canada. We
Yeah.
missed you guys for last night's live stream, and so did we with Catherine. And so we thought, why not come on again and just touch base? We would love to do this quite often. We know we will.
Yes. Hey,
Yes.
Mexi.
Hi,
Hi.
Mexi. Hi.
Mexi Megs. Where'd you get your name from, Megsy Megs?
We've got amazing people here on, and we have Stedman who was here yesterday. You missed Stedman. Catherine, she sent you greetings. We hope she will find this
Oh,
when she comes on. Yes, we had
I haven't seen
Ashley.
Stedman for quite a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She's doing well now. We
Good.
had Aspi, we had Samar, we had all the A team on
Very
here
nice.
last
Well, I'm
night.
sorry I missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we hope they find this one as well today. Elsie was here as well last night. TC, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. We had Felicite from France again as well. So it's always fireworks on this show, isn't it?
Oh, well, because, I think it's good. We disagree on very few things, we
Yeah.
do, but I just think we don't take ourselves too seriously either.
Oh yes,
No,
yes,
well,
yeah.
come on,
And
you gotta,
on this
you,
channel,
look, it's the internet.
yeah, and on this channel, as you know, and as all our friends that are on tonight with us here, the 10 of you so far, you know that we highlight the work of the real royals. When we come
Yes.
here, we want to give them as much airtime as we can. Okay, because we think they are doing great work for the communities here and abroad. Yet, on many occasions, so
Oh,
many channels don't tend to, speak a lot about it. Rather, they go the other way. But we are so happy that you can allow us to have these conversations. And
well,
Mexi says, my name
I'll
is Megan, and
yeah,
several people call me Mexi. Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important, though, to highlight. I've been testing my community posts on my YouTube wall, and largely because there's a real Sussex fatigue taking
Mm,
place. But there's anything I put up in relation to the Sussex, it doesn't get the traction it used to get,
mm.
and the um, the the ones who get all the traction are the Wales, in particular
Mm.
Catherine and the children, and William. I mean, William is the most popular royal now,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think
Officially.
yeah, I think it's good to go where the fire is.
But also, as William and Catherine edge closer to sitting on that throne, it is very important for us to start highlighting their work more and support them in preparing that road onto to get onto that throne. Recently, Prince William has been dealing with a lot. We know that his father, going down with the cancer diagnosis, and then his wife as well at the same time. So, home and away, he was terribly beaten. Prince William was. And he is such a strong man that in there he stood and supported Catherine, the children. He did all these school runs. He had to cancel very important outings to be there with his wife. But as well as that, he was always on the run to his father down, in London to try and see if things are going well and check in with his father regularly. And I think this is where many people are starting to see how William is going to be a very strong man, not just as a king, but also with his strong family foundations. He's really grown into this role.
Mm, mm.
And for him to now be the most popular royal, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined William being the most popular because we had his brother who was playing all over these games of wanting to be the most liked. And for a long time, Prince William, although he was the future king, he was seen in the shadows of Harry in terms of popularity. So for him to come on top in the way he has, I think has a lot to do with the support he has given to his father and Catherine
Yes.
of Wales. Hmm. And now Catherine, Princess of Wales, goes on that cover, the magazine, and she's, together with husband Prince William, they were named as, part of the 100 most influential people in the world. Of course, there are short prize projects for Prince William, big environmental project. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was managing this early years project through the Shaping Us campaigns. They are doing great work. Not forgetting that they are also young parents still raising future kings and princess royals. Okay, we can't even step in their shoes. The amount of work those two are taking on, and their responsibilities in carrying forward this crown is something that we should applaud them for. you know.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree. You only have to look at the way they handle their children, the way they um, help them feel confident in public. They nurture them. They don't stand over them. Um, they're very gentle, but they've got a strong hand as well, a strong hand of guidance. Apparently, Prince Louis said to his father, "Oh, do I have to do this? Do I have to sit there? It's not going to be any fun." And his father just gently reminded him of the occasion, and yes, it will, but we will have fun later on.
Mm.
So I really think we all we're all of us who are parents struggle being a parent and struggle finding that balance between discipline and giving them room to
Mm.
grow
Mm.
safely without smothering them or bullying them. You don't want to be either smothering or bullying. One
Mm.
is almost as bad as the other. Whereas
Mm.
Catherine and William, they're just so, I don't know, they just take Prince Louis in their stride. They're very, very um, gracious with him. They give him a lot of room to breathe. And I thought when George flicked his hair at the VE day, and then his brother Louis mocked
Copied
him,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
George didn't even blink.
No.
Prince
No.
George. It didn't even bother him. He's so used to it. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, you're used to your brother taking the mickey out of you.
And this is
Uh,
what we enjoy. That is what
yeah.
we love seeing. Catherine, William bringing those kids out and showing us that, this is it. We're a family. We are no more as everybody else. These little infights for kids have and the unsettling down and picking up on each other. All of those things we really do enjoy seeing. And that is why we relate more with Catherine and William than we do with the two ex-royals who are lavishing down in California. Okay, and it's really great that you've talked about Catherine and how she handles Louis, in those very intense moments. She does it with grace, so much grace, effortlessly. But she's a mother who is just like a mother, just like everybody else. And for them to to perform in the way they do at such occasions with managing these children is very relatable. Reminds me of the days we were growing up, and I was about 6 years old, and my mom takes me along with her to this wedding. And my mom was not a celebrity, I wasn't, but I remember we used to sit down on the chairs and you're just literally playing with things, you're pulling your shoes, and you can't settle down. You have your mom tap on your lap and say, "Come on, settle down. I'm gonna throw you out. Yeah, I want to bring you next time." So it reminds me of those things when I see Catherine, and not just Catherine, but also William. They
Yes.
take turns in managing these children when they are out on those big days. But we are looking at Louis, this very young child, Prince George, Charlotte sitting on that balcony with millions and hundreds of people watching him, not there in front of Buckingham Palace alone, but on TV everywhere, cameras zooming in. It is going to be so overwhelming to these children. But I also think they handle these situations with grace. Actually, I've never seen a very well behaved young
I just,
than
I,
Louis, George, and
I
Charlotte
know.
are.
I just can't get over it.
Even more behaved than Meghan and Harry. They are.
They
Okay.
are, they're amazing.
Very respectful.
And it
They.
doesn't, it's not easy. It's not
It's
easy
not
for anyone,
easy.
but they do it. They pull it off.
So that's why William and Catherine, for us, are really, really iconic in a way of inspiring the young generation, us, young mothers, families, future leaders. Okay. And that's why when we come on these shows, our show here especially, we want to talk about them as much as we can. And so our friends in the comments, thank you so much for letting us do that, but also for being a great part of this A team on this channel that promotes the good works of our senior royals in Catherine, Prince William, the King and Queen, Princess Anne, who, by the way, recently traveled to Liverpool to
Yeah.
extend the condolences on behalf of the royal family to all those that were caught up in that very sad incident. That man has been charged. I was looking on the news here how many years has he been given in jail, but he was charged for such a heinous act. But again, this is the royal family for you. You know, they care about communities, and you know, any other leader would have probably not even cared about. But the king, they just come back from abroad. They found this so important to send a senior member of the royal family to go on ground and deliver those condolences in person. Okay.
Well,
So,
Princess Anne is um, the perfect figure for that role because
mm,
she has seniority. She's the king's sister, and she's like her mother. She's like Queen
mm,
Elizabeth. So
mm,
that's why we love her.
mm,
She's the closest we've got to Queen Elizabeth on this earth. So
mm, mm.
when when Princess Anne turns up, everyone's sort of everyone turns out to see her.
Oh yes, I
Mm.
understand. Princess Anne is training Princess Charlotte because, as we know, Princess Charlotte is going to be the next Princess Royal, taking over from Princess Anne. This is a very important, extremely important role in the royal family, and one of the most prestigious, being a Princess Royal. And when Charlotte, of course, his father, Prince William, becomes king, Princess Charlotte will assume that title of Princess Royal. A lot of things are going to change, and Charlotte is going to be taking on some responsibilities, and just like we see Princess Anne is. So apparently, behind the scenes, there are some visits that Charlotte makes to Princess Anne's home to start the lessons when he's taking those lessons. Now, Catherine, before we go ahead, can you recognize some of our friends? Stedman
Yes.
is
Um,
on. Jovica's told us she was gonna be going soon because of she's I think running between work and this live. Uh,
yeah, Joe is
mm,
still there. She just asked a question. Has
mm,
anyone seen Keir Starmer at Liverpool? I think not. So
mm,
Joe's not Joe. She makes a very good point. Hey,
mm.
Stedman, I hope you're well. I know that you've had some challenges with your health recently, but I hope that you're bouncing back.
Mm, mm,
Um, Yeah, but it's so lovely to see you. It's really nice. And
Auntie C, yeah.
TC, I was a little brat. Oh, so was I. I was a real brat. I'm the eldest, so I was allowed to be a brat. I'm the eldest brat around here, so you brat
Mm,
line, I'm the OC. I know how to handle brats. Never had a hand raised to me. Never considered raising a hand of mine. Oh, I can't say that. I was really strong. Get behind. We grew up in a really rough neighbourhood. Seriously, gang.
mm,
I live in a really lovely, gorgeous area. Now I grew up when we came as 10-pound poms to Australia, we were just dumped, and we were dumped in this roughest neighbourhoods. There's a famous crime figure by the name of Carl Williams. He's dead now. Died in jail. He was our neighbour, and he was all part of that um, gangland war in Victoria. We lived in Victoria when we came. So
mm.
they're the people I grew up with. I grew up with that crowd. I had to know how to fight. That's why I got such a thick skin. Um, and yes, Jo makes a really good point here. Um, she says, we don't get lessons on being a parent. All we can do is love and guide them and teach them to have respect for themselves and others. And I think Catherine and William do that. You know why? Because they've got deep, abiding love and respect for each other. So it
Mm, mm.
trickles down and spreads out. Oh,
It does. It does absolutely. Catherine, as you know, comes from a very strong family values. I mean, the family she comes from has got those very strong family values, deeply rooted in it. And I think for William, coming into marrying into Catherine's family, he gets what he missed growing up, but also the family looks at William as their son, and that's no surprise to us that Catherine and Prince William choose sometimes to go and spend time at the Middletons, as opposed to staying with the royal family here. In that sense, it's showing to us how much Prince William recognizes the importance and role that Catherine's family plays, in William's own family. And when those kids, Louis, George, Charlotte, go over to the Middletons, they are going there to listen to these beautiful stories, get a bit of a different scenery to what they are used to growing in. When you grow up in the royal family, there's a lot of pom-pom and pageantry and bread and butter, so that they go away from the royal family onto Catherine's side and do a bit of running around, learn to do jobs, scrub those pans, mop the floors, and clean up, all of those things that they wouldn't have probably got the chance to do when they are here in the royal household. So William is a very lucky young man, extremely lucky that he married in a family like that one. Had he married in Meghan Markle's family, that would have been a different case.
oh, it shows well. It
It
really
shows
shows
very well,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, Francis, that it was his own background? His mother was codependent with her eldest, William. But um, do you think that he was in those early days of grief after his mother died, that he just found his comfort there? Like, I don't know if it would have been possible for him and his father to grieve together. Grieving parents and grieving children can't always find their way together. Sometimes children feel a bit overlooked, but because the parents are so absorbed. But royal authors and royal commentators do say after Diana died, the king just lost himself in Camilla, and and it's a matter of public record. So I'm not speaking out of
Mm,
turn when I say that, the Social Security team played a huge role in um, looking after and caring for the princes. But
mm.
with William, do you think that he found something there with her parents that he could never have got anywhere else after his mother
Yeah.
died?
Oh,
It's just,
yes.
it's just so heart-wrenching, the loss of a mother.
It was very hard, and I think this is Catherine played a very, very important role, I think, throughout all of those years with comforting William and promising to be the sort of mother that, Princess Diana, was to William, not just the mother, but also wife. She promised to be everything, just like Prince Harry used to tell us that Catherine was the sister that he never had. Okay. So imagine if Harry says that about Catherine, then Prince William will say a lot, about Catherine. But I think Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her family played a very, very big role in molding William into the loving father and the gentleman he is today. And that explains to us why every time William steps out to give those speeches, he always starts with this opening line of his, Catherine and I, Catherine and I, Catherine and I. I mastered that phrase. He will never give a speech without starting it with Catherine and I. They
Beautiful.
have, yeah. So these two are just one right from the onset, and we're just so grateful. Becky Lee? Someone was saying earlier that they just can't wait to see Prince William and Catherine be crowned as king and queen. I think the world is going to turn upside down with jubilations. Not that they didn't do that with the king and present queen, but because I think with William, many people will relate more. When they will relate more, and it's because they've seen their story. Okay, they've seen William and Catherine's story and how these two have grown, into what they are today. It is going to be great. And as well as
Yeah.
that, we know the huge challenges the royal family is facing right now with Prince Harry, is a problem, and Meghan Markle, in a way, and how the king has sort of dealt with that issue. Many people looking at it as a bit unsatisfactory. They have these high hopes that once William steps on the throne, things are going to start moving in the direction of what everybody wants.
Oh, I think it
Yeah.
will, but I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it will be. He's not going to be able to satisfy everyone. That
Mm,
that that's the truth. But uh, I think he's between a rock and a hard place with his brother because um, his brother is so wired. There was a photo of him recently. I saw it on X.
mm-hmm,
He's in a fully lit room, but his
mm,
pupils were really wide. They were
mm,
really, and he's getting lost in looking, for friends, knocking on doors. Um, his behavior is so erratic,
mm,
and I think William is going to be walking a very fine line between taking a hard line and making sure that he doesn't push his brother to over the edge, because that's the risk that he's facing. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate this has been left to William. But
mm.
the king, I wonder, just speaking hypothetically, I wonder if the king hadn't been unwell, if he would have had the stomach to deal with Harry, I just wonder if that could have been, because it's a pity that this Gordian knot has been left to William. Because
Mm,
William seems to be the only one, apart from Anne, but it's not in her purview. She's only an aunt, but
mm.
it's a Gordian knot, and it's not. I just feel I got a lot of respect for William, and he's he's not going to be able to please everyone.
He won't. He won't. He's got a very big challenge ahead. Uh, Before
Um,
we carry on
at
with this,
this
Catherine,
age.
again, your sound is sort of unstable. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
it's
move
back
it over here
now. Yeah,
because I'm in a yeah.
yeah,
I'm in a I'm down.
Ye-
I live downstairs. The walls are cement rendered, and
yes, yeah.
yeah,
Better now. Yeah, better.
yeah.
Hi,
So
Aspi. Aspi's here, I think. Hi, Aspi. Becky says the Middleton family sounds like a solid family.
yeah.
Yes, they are. Her Royal Highness Max Brat. Hi, Max Brat. How are you?
I love these names, but her name actually is Meghan. That actually is her name. So
Yeah,
we'll remember
Max
that
Brat.
in future.
Margaret, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Margaret. Margaret is one of the ones, the A team here. Lisa is here finally as well. Take it to the heart. How are you? Take it to the heart. Never let me go. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Take it to the heart. Never let you go. Oh, no, no. Is that where you got the name
Take it
from? Take it
out.
to the
Take it
heart.
out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who did that song, by the way? Was it Billy Ocean? Oh, take it to the
I can't
heart.
remember.
Never.
You know the
Yeah.
song.
But hi, everyone. Yeah, we've just had a moment there. But yes, great to see you all, dear friends. Welcome to this Royal News Live. We decided to do one again today just to touch base with our lovely Catherine here, who has been away for a while. So we wanted her to come and talk to us for a bit because we missed you, Catherine, didn't we?
Oh, I've
We
missed
really
everyone.
did.
Yeah, and
Yes.
my friend Bear is in the other room, but he's
Yeah.
he's missing everyone. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have I have missed, but I mean, I nearly abandoned YouTube, but you just kept me on my toes a little
Oh,
bit there,
please.
Francis.
You've
I'm
got to
glad you're
stand up to
here.
the test. YouTube
Yeah,
is a test. But
yeah.
also, when we come on here every day to talk about these stories, it's more like we are coming to catch up with our family. This is a newfound family online here. I think about every single one of you in the comments. I know your names now. When I sleep in the morning, I wake up. I know, Stedman, Lisa, TCLC, take it to the heart, Max Brandt. I know these names, Doreen Warfeld. I know all of you now that, every time I post a video and I see your comments popping up, you are my newfound family. So sometimes, Catherine, we've got when we disappear from YouTube without posting for long periods of time, I think we are being selfish. We need to come back and touch base with our friends.
Stop!
Yeah.
Oh, stop it!
So please don't
Oh,
go missing
oh,
like that.
no.
We
Well,
love
I
your
nearly
channel.
did. I
Yeah.
nearly did. I nearly abandoned YouTube, but I listened to you, and I'm doing a couple of tests, but the subscriptions are doing really, really well. But
Mm.
as a careers coach with school leavers, you must be very good at your job because you have a way about you, Francis, where you encourage and you bring out the best in people. And then you say, come on, you can do it. And in the end, we're doing it because we don't want to let you down. It's like,
You got to live up to the test.
I
You know?
know, I know.
Yeah.
I just think
So
it's,
the challenge you
yeah,
need to set yourself, Catherine, is
yeah,
every time you go to your channel and you go to videos, Look at when you last posted a video. If it goes past 5 days, just know, no, this is not good enough. Put a video up there.
All right. Oh, oh, you're killing me over here.
Yeah. I mean, you are a royal news channel, Catherine. You are. And these royals are out and about. Whether they are resting, they are chilling out somewhere. Our friends need to know what these people are up to 24/7. And it's the challenge we have to live up to. Come and keep them up to date.
Okay,
But
well, I am going to post one today because I knew this subject was coming up. So I braced myself for the conversation. I thought I've got it all ready, and I'm going to post one later because I knew. I'm
yeah.
telling you, girls, if you've got high school leavers that need a careers coach, Francis Payne
Yeah, thank
is your
you.
man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But yeah, it was really lovely for you to actually highlight the fact that you are sort of Prince William has got a huge challenge ahead of him. It's good that you say that here because this is something we have always talked about. All of us as royal, royalists and commentators who come and speak about the royals every day. The fact that he hasn't been talking with his brother for a long time now, and for him to get to sit on that throne, he has to be very careful with how he's going to be taking those decisions, not to come across as revenging or very
Yes.
aggressive. He has to find a thin balance. It's very easy to make a decision and people say he's done it. We knew he was going to do that because they haven't talked. He's always displayed dislike for him. So we knew that is what he was going to do. So the challenge for William is to find a way of coming to making these decisions without coming across as very ruthless. Okay, but I think the best way to prepare a good ground for King William, to me, I think, is for Harry to try hard and reconcile with his father and his brother before his father hands over that throne. That is the
Well,
challenge. Because if he
he's,
doesn't do
yeah.
that, and Charles gets to go and hand the throne to William, it is going to be another huge mountain backing for Prince Harry. Not that he's going to be backing, because nobody wants him back. Everybody can't trust him anymore. But again, he's part of the royal family. We have royal events, key future events coming up, the coronation, everything, of William and Catherine. Harry has to be part of those. Can you imagine Harry not turning up for his brother's coronation and how that can be looked at by the world?
Well,
Hmm?
I mean, I don't think he's going to find it easy, but he can't not go, and he can't. Apparently, William has expressed, it has been reported, and that any leaks that come out of Kensington Palace, they don't leak. It's not a leaky ship. He runs a really tight ship. So if anyone out of his camp is saying something, it's got,
Hmm.
and William has said, it's been reported a few times, William does not want his brother at his coronation. That doesn't mean, though, that he won't invite him. You
Hmm.
see,
Hmm.
that's different to saying I'm not going to invite him. He's saying I don't want him there. That's a way of saying don't come.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
if you don't feel like coming, don't worry. We'll get on without you.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just feel that for William, what Meghan has done recently with that HRH, I believe was a slap at William. She was throwing down the gauntlet and saying, "Here, take me on," you know,
Hmm.
because they don't know, and it's evident by what Harry said in that interview. We don't know how long our father has, so they don't know, and I think that their sources are drying up within the the royal circles, you
Hmm.
know, and whether it's close in the circles or adjacent to the royals, I think a lot of their sources are drying up. So they don't have any reliable time frame. So
Mm,
I read what I see with her is a lot of panic. She's
yeah.
everything she's doing, it's just got this frenzy to it. And I
Mm,
think it's because they believe William could be on the throne before the end of the year. I think that's what's wrong with her. Whereas with Harry, you got a different kettle of fish. He's lost. He wants to be restored to his family, and yet he says, I want to reconciliation. I want to, we can't carry these arguments on forever. And then the next minute you see him over in China attempting to, because it's not possible to do it, but attempting to
to the spotlight.
overshadow his father's Canadian trip. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's
How
that's not the
sad.
behavior of someone who wants
Who wants
reconciliation.
reconciliation? Absolutely. He needs to get back to the drawing board and start doing things correctly. Starts being respectful of his father. He needs to be reading this royal calendar like a book. He's been in the royal family before. He knows all of these events happening every year. He knows when the king's birthday parade is going to be happening. He knows all of it because these royal events have been pre-planned for ages. So he cannot sit down and tell us that this event he had organized, not knowing that, the king or queen were going to be stepping out. No, he knows. And I think he just sets out to and go ahead and do whatever he's doing because he's still competing with the royal family. He's still competing for the platform with the royal family, and he says, oh, he knows that he's being talked about by everybody. So if he steps out here, that will likely to overshadow, whoever is out on the day. But that is not helping him at all. Okay, it might serve him with papers talking about him and all of that, but in terms of his relationship with the royal family, it isn't helping him at all.
No, it's the cognitive dissonance. He doesn't seem to get it that he's sending mixed messages. He obviously wants to get back in. That is really clear. He wants back in, and this team now that they've recruited, this new PR team, most of them are PR people. Um, I don't know how many are allocated, but they will be based in the UK, looking after their UK interests. They don't have any interests in the UK. What are they trying? What is he trying to do by setting up this royal court, so called, in Montecito with an adjacent office to the royals in the UK? What's that all about?
Hmm. It's just a shame that he can't put his ego onto one side. Because this is what it is. If this Harry boy stands out and say, very sorry for the campaigns we have been on all this while. Okay, there was a misjudgment with us, and for all of these years, we have actually been acting in ways we shouldn't have. That's all he needs to say. Apologize, put aside this idea that his wife was mistreated by the royal family, and actually start to reflect on the behaviors of his wife. Okay, and see and try to see why do people dislike his wife so much? Why? Why is the media talking about them in a negative way they are? That is when Harry will come back to his senses and realize that all this while I have been misled. I need to get back to my family as soon as possible. I really need to. I need help. Find some counseling. Find someone who should be close to the royal household and say, I need help, support, backing. The world doesn't need to know about it. These are things that could be done behind the scenes. Okay, that way
Well,
I
it's
get back
that's
in.
exactly right. You've hit the nail on the head. It's family business. It doesn't need to be broadcast every few minutes when you go to see your rehab, like you're going to your 12 steps program or whatever it is you're doing, He is in serious trouble, Harry. He's in so deep, he hasn't even got a clue how far down he is. And I think he's giving his father whiplash, in my
Mm,
opinion, because he says the one thing, but he does the other.
mm,
It's this
mm,
constant. So I'm not suggesting that they're necessarily taking some of what he says, about reconciliation, etc., seriously, but it's just like, oh, 1 minute he says this, the next minute he says that, and
yeah, very
it's
inconsistent.
it sounds like they're dealing with a madman.
Exactly, very, very inconsistent. Because you can't say, I'm tired of these wars. We're fighting wars. And then next day you see it in front of the television, or you give an interview and you still speak ill about your family. Okay, I mean, who needed to know that his father, that Harry was asked his father to step aside and let the court, the lawyers do their own business for his court case? Who needed to know all of that? You know, bringing his father into all these controversies all the time. This is what the royal family is trying to avoid with Harry now, because they
But
don't
I,
want
but
to
I
get
think he would.
involved.
I'm sorry to speak
Mm,
over you.
mm, mm,
He would be in a far better position. I think his father has had a chat with him in the early days and said, look, I'm sure of this because this is what I thought, what would I do if I was a monarch? I'm not, right? But what would I do? You've got this interest, and then you got the family biz. And he would have said to his son, look, I'll do what I can to help you. It would have been more than he wanted to. You always have to go further than you really want to go with characters like Harry. But
mm.
the minute you take my government to court, you block me, back me up against a corner. I can't do anything. I am sure the king would have bent over backwards to help Harry. He would have done it through all these quiet channels. But the minute he took his father's government to court, he put his back up against the wall. There was nothing he could do. Nothing. And
Mm.
his untrustworthy character, repeating everything that is said to him, put him totally outside the, you know, all of the royal activity. He did this to himself.
He did this to himself. He's broken all the royal codes of conduct, in my opinion.
Yes.
A member of the royal household having to stand and testify in court against his father's government, I think is very disrespectful and disgusting. Okay, that alone is to me seems unforgivable. And that Oprah Winfrey interview, just sitting there and looking at this woman, he had just made 6 months, sit there and bring down the legacy of the royal family. Prince Harry's legacy that had been created by the king, and Harry says nothing and lets this woman go on and go on in front of the Oprah Winfrey interview without stopping her, letting her mock the queen in the way she did in that courtesy thing, you know, not actually asking Meghan to stop using the royal title when Harry knows that they were told that they can't use the HRH royal titles anymore when they stepped out. But she's using those titles freely, and Harry's just looking on as if he knows nothing about that restriction that was given to them. As a man, I would expect Harry to be the lead in that household of theirs, to say, no, when we fell out with the royal family, but we still have things to follow. We still need to respect these codes that were given to us. No, they're just doing their own thing. And Harry still insists he wants reconciliation when he is not even fulfilling the basics that they were told to do when they left. Okay. So it isn't gonna come now. That
No,
trust has long been gone, 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 gone. It's the trust issue is very important here. You know, especially as long as he's still married to Meghan Markle, I don't think even letting him anywhere near to all these other royal gatherings, they are worried. He could be wired onto Meghan Markle somewhere, somehow. And all of these discussions land into Meghan, and we see these being talked, given in interviews and, podcasts, upcoming Netflix series, and all of that, using all that information, against the royal family. So it isn't going to be an easy road for him, Wayne. In fact, even if he apologized and said, I'm sorry, we've been on the wrong path, I still don't think he will ever get back to the royal family in the way he was before. And I think people like it the way it is now. By reading around, people want them to stay as far away as they can from the royal family. They
I
just
think
want Catherine, Princess of Wales, to have
yeah,
her peace as well. Because can you
the,
imagine the
yeah,
stress these two would bring back to Catherine?
yeah.
Hmm?
No, the moment's gone. There was,
Hmm?
when the moment's gone, it's past. The only one who doesn't know it is Harry himself. There
Hmm?
was a
Hmm?
moment, and it wasn't even that long ago, where there was a slim chance, there was a slim possibility, but it's gone. And I think the final nail in the coffin, his own coffin, really.
Hmm?
It's a terrible metaphor, but was the BBC interview. I mean, uh, he damaged himself tremendously, and his popularity now is all down in the Prince Andrew territory. He and Meghan and Prince Andrew, or they're all down there at the bottom. It's
Exactly.
so. What did he think was going to
Exactly.
happen with the BBC? It didn't go well for his mother, and it didn't go well for Andrew.
Hmm.
Why did
Hmm.
he think he could do better?
A Harry that never learns, because he should have learned from the Oprah Winfrey interview never, ever again to sit and start crying in front of cameras, because all that people saw was whinging, 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 whinging. Francis, if Harry comes back to the UK, he will end up like his uncle. He knows it. Yes, he does.
Yes,
An old
yes.
geezer. An old geezer. Good to see you joining the crew. Thank you. Welcome to this wonderful community. Thank you so much, my dear friends, in the comments for welcoming our new friends to the chat. Here we come and just have a bit of a peaceful natter where no harm to everybody. We are just sharing our thoughts on these pressing issues. Becky Lee, I think, mentioned about these missing millions in the African parks.
Mm,
Yeah, and that is the other big challenge, for Harry. It's not just the trust with the royal family, but also the trust with whether he can now be trusted within these charities and the work he's doing.
yeah.
All of the charities are going down. We saw the what is that charity, Dr. Sophie Gondo, whatever,
Centre Ballet.
Center Ballet, yes.
And now African
That was a
parks.
mess. Yeah, messed all of that up. His attitude and lack of leadership
Yep.
skills, and the Harry who thinks he's entitled to have things the way he wants all the time. He couldn't do this in the royal family. He had to be kicked out, in my opinion, because the royal family
Well, you see
is
that.
it has that operating procedures in place. You can't jump. You have to go through the right protocols. And so Harry, with his wife Meghan, those two joining heads, could not last in an establishment which works on rules, right protocols, procedures, no place for entitlement in the royal family. No chance.
No, no.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Harry and Meghan have lost sight of. And she could have had everything. She's such a stupid woman. They say she's quite bright and intelligent. I never saw that. I just saw her as a stubborn mule, stupid. She could have had everything and she didn't have to work that hard. Clothes, money, status. She could have had everything. She just didn't want to walk behind Catherine and William. That was it.
Mm.
She didn't want to bow to the Queen. She didn't want to walk behind Harry. It's always her, her, her. She's mentally unhinged, that woman, and I feel sad because those two coming together was a car crash.
It
Total.
was here. But now they've turned out to be very made for each other
Yep.
now because she's got him under her clutches. She has. She's not letting him go. She knows, that is how she is going to be getting her projects. If she lets go of Harry, everybody's going to start looking at her as relevant now. So she has to grab him and hold onto him very firmly. But her projects, Meghan as Meghan, cannot go any far. We know that now. She started her Azeva brand. It's got finished before it has even started. She came on the on that recent podcast and she said she's not going to be restocking until 2026. And the strawberry jam, all of that, she's not going to be restocking. And she's going to use the data she's got now to sort of figure out where to go next. And
I mean, that's called
so
market
that's
research.
as ever gone.
You do that
It's
before you launch,
finished.
don't you? Yeah, don't you analyze the data before the launch? She's done
So,
everything. Sorry, but she's done everything asked about. She has. It's what my father used to say. You do everything asked about. Do it like this.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think she does everything like that. That's called market research, and you do it beforehand. Do
yeah.
you remember the first time her jam showed up?
Mm,
It showed up with dog biscuits, and who was it? It was Harry's friend that promoted it, his polo friend, Figaro's, whatever his name is. He promoted it on his Instagram, and they were having a go at Catherine. Remember that? That's
yes.
where this jam thing started,
She
you
is the
know?
Meghan Markle is always going to be the hardest woman to promote. Look how she's done everything. She's given all these strawberry jams to the Kim Kardashians, to all of these so-called world class, whatever in their league, celebrities. But still nothing has shifted. She can't even restock her products that she claims ran out. Uh, but I think it comes down to who is even going to supply her? Who is interested in those products? There are no real customers there to buy those products. All of this is selling out. It's sold out. It's sold out. Was all an advertising gimmick, to tell the world, lie to the world that her products are selling out like hot cakes. But there wasn't anybody interested in those products. So the brand is now finished. And this is what happens when you build a brand on lies, on inconsistencies, on inauthenticity, all of those terrible things that somebody can have. Bad relationship with people, toxicity, left, right, center. Even here in the royal family, that she would have got support. She sent across that basket to the king with strawberry jam, assorted products within that basket. Nobody took that seriously because they had already tarnished their image. It's even difficult for someone to sort of look at whatever they are doing as whether it is genuine. Okay, there is always going to be that question of, but is this an act of genuineness or this is all pretense? Is there something behind why they've done this? This is the Meghan and Harry that we are seeing now. Their brand, it is going to be stagnant. So this has ever has finished before it started. Now she can't restock until 2026. Look out what is going to happen in 2026. She's going to come up with a new brand name. And she will tell us, this is the brand name I've always wanted. The same way she told us with Hazeva. Oh, I've been so much in love with this name, Hazeva. Within a year, she'll be telling us another story. Those inconsistencies are what people are not buying into anymore. So that's where we are. Sorry for the rant.
No,
Oh, dear.
we're on the same page. What was it? Something that someone said here: the Sussex squatties won't be able to buy her products.
They won't.
Here, Lisa H says something here. It's kind of scary that she wants to use the data. You mean like their bank account numbers and other information? Yeah. Do you know, I had booked a car recently. Went to pick up some storage and I hired a car and they said to me, you know, these are your costs and any tolls, you can use your own toll tag or, you know, it'll just tick over on, it goes through to our account. Anyway, what's happened now? That was a few months ago. It was at the beginning of the year, and I get this fee on my bank account where it's the provider of tolls, but it was this week, and it's $20, right? But I don't do online shopping. I don't do a very much online banking is minimum, right? But
Hmm.
this company that I hired the car from should have said to me, these tolls will come through to us. But they've given my bank details, coming back to Lisa, they've given my bank details to this toll company. And I never agreed to that, not that I'm aware of anyway. Okay. So the bank asked me, I said, look, I drive, but I don't have a vehicle. And I'd forgotten because I was baffled. Where has this come from? And I've realized what's happened. And they've given my bank account details to another company. That's illegal. That is
Hmm.
illegal. You cannot exchange people's financial data. That's what they're going to do here. Do you know, there's so much money missing out of Archewell, so much money missing out of African parks, millions and millions of dollars that they're trying to track down through African parks. These two are, they've been called effing grifters by the Spodcast CEO because they are, and nothing is sacred with them. People's details and data is sacrosanct, and the way you treat that data that builds trust. You
Hmm.
cannot just sell that data on like Facebook have got caught out doing, because the minute you do that, your stock falls through the floor.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, you just can't, you cannot pass on, and that's what they'll do. They'll
Hmm.
use it with third parties.
Hmm. Hmm. So you see, the trust again comes
Yeah,
back to
it's
trust
trust.
thing. Yeah, yeah, can't be trusted. All of these donors, funders, business associates cannot trust these two. They've already showed the financial mismanagement, poor leadership. They can't be trusted. But we have two individuals who left the royal family and thought they would go out there and make it. They were very half-baked. They didn't have any knowledge of doing things. We had this Meghan who thought she had this degree and she was going to guide Harry, and I think she sort of convinced him, "I don't worry, I'll sort everything out." And what has she done for him since he left? He's just swimming around aimlessly, whatever he had being supported by the royal family, he started losing all of those things.
Well, he
Eh,
squandered it.
So, hi, Go Backs Boats Race. Good to see you. And thank you so much, Go Backs, for the membership. Recently, I just noticed you purchased the channel membership of Francis Page Media. Thank you so much. Truly, truly appreciate. And I would like to shout out channel membership holders on the channel aspiring. Thank you so much. We've got Promise Roads. There is a channel membership holder. We've got Lisa H. who purchased channel membership yesterday. Go Backs here with us. Thank you guys. Really, really appreciate your support. This is what is driving the channel forward. And as you know, well, I will be starting to travel up to places, go down to Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, to try and do a bit of a walkabout in those residences and show you what's going on there. So this is what is going to be helping me get to those places, so the channel membership. So thank you so much. If you can, please support in any way you can, buy the memberships, and that will go a long way to pushing our channel forward. Apologies for bringing that in, Catherine and Katy.
No, no,
You
not
should.
at all. I love what Elsie says. She
Yeah.
says, we're ranting along with you, Francis.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a lack of trust. Everything, if someone says to you, if you want to join our newsletter, we'll only send you something once a month, and you go, oh
Yes.
yeah, I can cope with that. And then you start getting one every second day. You think, get lost, and you unsubscribe, and it doesn't unsubscribe. And then you block it, and it doesn't block. They come in. That's what Harry and Meghan are like. They're just so
Yeah.
untrustworthy. They can't be trusted with anything. And I think I got to tip my hat to some of the royalists and some of the news commentators um, who reviewed their products because they've sent and bought it. They bought
Mm,
it. So they've handed over their private financial data, you know,
mm,
sort
mm.
of. I just thought, wow, I would I wouldn't have been able to bring myself to do that.
You go to their as ever their products page, you struggle to find reviews on there, and you're wondering, okay, so who are these people who bought all these products that haven't even left reviews? Okay, but that's when you see something is fake. It's not there, and also the feedback and the comments, posted on these popular feeds online are just so telling of exactly what is going on in Meghan Markle's business life. But I just feel sorry because Meghan Markle is a hustler. She's used to all of that. She has sort of uh, she gets by on controversies. I think this is
Yeah.
her. When you look at the family, the foundations in their family, the infighting with her sisters, her brothers, they don't talk, they don't do this. So she's used to all of that. That is how she has probably thrived all of these years. But bringing Prince Harry into this mess, okay, Harris is a royal who is supposed to be walking a clear path, very transparent, free from all these controversies and being entangled in businesses that are not um, genuine. Okay, but where is he now? He's exactly caught up in all of that. He's now, so the royal family is more like saying, you're not coming back in to infect all of us. you know.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so,
think this is why they didn't want him to leave because they knew, and I don't like saying this, but it's actually true of Harry. They knew that he was a useful idiot, that if he got in with the wrong people, people would take advantage of him because he's not terribly bright. And that's what's happened. because I think he could get himself into trouble without her help, but nothing like what they are encountering now. No, nothing. The thing is with William, there's not a whiff of scandal around William. No scandal. There is with other royals, even his father, his brother.
He
There's not
handled
a whiff of scandal around William.
very professional young man. He's very well learned. He has a good sense of judgment, William has. And I think when I look at William and Harry, those two, you can't compare. You really can't, because one is way up here and the other one is down here. And look at the initial time, the falling out started. It starts with apparently William sitting Harry down and trying to put sense in him. Listen, why the rush? Why do you get involved with this woman so quickly and take things to that next level without actually taking a step back and observe and learn and find out things? And I suppose William would have used his example with his wife. Look what I did with Catherine. It's taken us how many years? We even split up at some point as part of this process to see whether the other party is going to go and do weird things and all of that, just to check out how badly they wanted this relationship. I really think William used all of those props as example to Harry to try and get sense into him to not rush into this relationship. What does Harry do? Thinks William doesn't want great things for Harry, thinks William is jealous of his beautiful wife, and he goes away. And what happens now is exactly what William was warning him about. Okay, so we have William, who is the Prince of Wales, in a very key role he's playing right now. Prince of Wales is the most prestigious royal title before the king. Okay? Okay? If you're Prince of Wales, people are looking at you in respects of being the king in making you are. So he's very, very careful with the steps he takes. He thinks through things before he does them. His sense of judgment is spot on. When he steps out, he uses his words correctly. He's very careful to cross those boundaries when making funny jokes, when interacting with people, because he knows as a professional, you are supposed to observe certain values. So this is why you will not see a William that is caught up in sagas and controversies and here. But that young man has also been prepared for leadership since childhood. And his mother tells us, actually, Princess Diana, that out of these two, this is the sensible one. And those are not my words. You go back and watch all these clips. Princess Diana used to think of Prince William with high regards. High regards. He was the young man he trusted. He was the young man he spoke about. This is going to be the reasonable one. This one, I don't know. So William was prepared for this role. And I think for a king that is going to become, this is what people are going to want to see. A person who has walked this process of purity, is tested, is experienced, there's nobody that is going to be starting to come up with all of these things once he's sat on that throne. But can you imagine a King Harry?
Oh, he would be. I mean, there are historical records of monarchs who've been a disaster, so he would have just been another one of those. Oh my God, it's terrifying. The
If
thought
Meghan
terrifying.
can pretend can go across and if Meghan can call herself a queen now when she's not nowhere near. She's not even. Imagine if she was the Catherine Princess of Wales. Wouldn't she be sitting there and asking people to wash her feet? Uh,
Oh, she would.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. She
wouldn't
would.
she?
She would be ghastly. She would be the she would be the worst. Oh, I just doesn't even beg thinking about. She'd be worse than Macron's wife.
A person who is not ashamed of sitting there on a podcast and telling the whole world, oh, my nannies do that, my nannies do that, my nannies do that, with no respect at all of
I
people who
don't
are supporting
understand it.
her. Can you
Yeah.
imagine with Catherine Princess of Wales coming on these shows and say, oh, my nanny does that, my nanny does that. Uh,
Becky Becky
what are
Lynn.
they called? Are they nannies? The people
Yeah,
who look.
nanny. No, she is. You're right, because on the one hand, she carries on like, oh, I do this, I do that. I don't go to bed till I've written emails to my children. She sounds like a lunatic. And then in the next breath, my nanny does this. I do all the cooking, but then in the next breath, oh, and when we get takeout, I sprinkle it with dried flowers. Oh my God, I can't stand it. I can't stand her.
If Meghan was
Oh,
the Catherine Princess of Wales, we would all have to sort of courtesy and probably put our chins on the floor for her like this. Hmm.
oh, geez,
Oh, dear.
it doesn't bear thinking
Right.
about. But I, I think William and Catherine, everyone is hanging out for them.
Hmm.
Every, it'll be a relief from because Harry won't be able to. Everything right now is my father this, my father that. Everything, he's just got it again. He's got in for his father. He seems to be the target. William is too, but my father this and the Wicked Witch of the West being Camilla, he's not going to be able to get away with that when William is king. And I think deep down they both know it because once they ascend to the throne, everyone is going to be enraptured, like they are with the new pope, right? Everyone is all excited. Everyone loves positive change, They like to see change. People are quite generous. They give peace a chance, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, um, when they ascend to the throne, Harry is not going to get the PR that he's got right now. It's just not going to work for them.
Hmm.
They're so out of fuel now. They really are running that car crash of theirs on empty. It's just all burnt fumes, and it's
Hmm.
it's tragic. I mean, it's frustrated as we get with them, and you know, rant about them, but it's also quite tragic because they had so much
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
when William and Catherine are there, it's over, Rover. No one will want only hardcore anti-monarchists will want
Hmm.
anything to do with them. Anyone respectable won't because they'll want to be Team William and Team Catherine. People
Yes.
want to be close to the throne.
Exactly, they do. They do indeed. And William, with the responsibilities that young man has had over the years and the associations he's held with very many people. Some of these are directors, the executives, the charity board members, and all of that. All of them say one thing: working with William is great. He's very understanding. He's a very learned. We forget that William is a very learned young man as well. And part of his decision making process is because of the education that he has received. It has shaped his thought process. Now, I'm not saying that only those that have learned are the ones who make good decisions, but it contributes to a certain extent, a large extent, to how we start looking at things, our thought process, sense of judgment. How is this going to come out like? Okay, all of those principles that have developed in William over the years have been finally shaped and brought together by this education he received. And then the fact that he aligned his life with this beautiful family, well mannered young woman in Catherine, Princess of Wales. I think Catherine brings a lot, and I'll say this without even a lot, into what William is today.
Oh, I think she's the key.
Okay.
David Starkey, the historian, he believes that the non-royals are more royal than the royals, and he believes that, like people like Catherine and Sophie, that they take their royal duty very seriously. And David Starkey said he believes the future is with Catherine. He
Yes.
he deliberately and pointedly puts it on her, and he said also he has every confidence in that as well.
Yeah, and when they step out together,
Mm.
you see it's a whole different thing than when they
Yep.
step out individually. You know, those two as a force to reckon, and a strong force.
Mm.
Okay. So we are very lucky, extremely lucky to have both of these young men, both well educated. It's very, very important. Okay, they are not coming across as looking down on each other. I'm here even thinking that probably Meghan Markle looks down on Harry because she knows she has these degrees and Harry can't show anything for that, you know, and that's why she's coming across as the CEO, of all the projects they run together. She's the one to direct this. She's the one to advise on this because she thinks she's more learned than Harry. So we don't see those things with William and Kate because these two people are literally on the same level of thought, their thought process, the respect they have for each other. Look at how they raise their family, each of
Mm.
them playing their role. Okay, there was one incident I really loved talking about, and William and Catherine were in a van, and I think they were going to attend a certain function. So they arrived there. Catherine had just given birth to, so we had Princess Charlotte was still a young baby, and we had George. Was this on a trip they were going to? Was it a trip to New Zealand or somewhere? And I looked at William and Catherine at that time of jumping out of this van with these two young royals, okay? And my assessment really is one that helped me find out that William is truly a gentleman. These two really work together. So William gets out of that van first and asks Catherine to send over Princess Charlotte. So Catherine sends Charlotte, and William whispers to Catherine, "Okay, I'll hold Charlotte here as you sort yourself out." So Catherine stayed in the van, sorted her outfit out, and said, "Don't rush. Take your time. I'll take care of these kids while you do that." So Prince William held on Prince George's hand, had Charlotte here, and once Catherine was done, William said, "Okay, now you can come out of the van, pass." So teamwork, team effort. Whereas some other person, man, would come out. Who is the king after all? Already gone. Catherine is falling apart with the kids. You never see that happen. They work together. William forgets he's even the future king. He's the father figure in that family. All of these principles you want to have if somebody is going to be a future king.
Mm.
So we've had enough of this nattering this evening.
I love that word nattering. It's so quaint. I love it. I love your turn
Yeah.
of phrase.
Yeah, and our friends, we realize it might be either late where you are or very early in the morning. You need to start going on with your day's activities.
Yes, thank
So,
you very much. So
again,
it's
yeah,
lovely to be lovely. It's been a while since we've caught up,
it
but
has been a while, and
I know
so
that everyone would agree with me. You're a very charming host.
thank you. Thank you so much. Again, go Bucks, Bolts, Rays. Thank you again for finding us and for the channel membership lately. Truly appreciate. Thank you, Aspi, everybody on here, my dear friends, Stedman, Elsie, who we have everybody on here. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's great to have your company every day. It's not easy sitting through these live streams and you stay there with your commitments, but you stick here with us till the
I
very end.
know. I don't know how you do it.
Arnold Giza, yeah.
Yeah, I
We
get a
had
bit
Meg,
fidgety, but
yeah, Max
it's
Brat,
too much
Becky,
fun.
yeah, you know. So,
Thank
Catherine,
you, Becky.
what do you have for our friends before we sign off, Catherine?
I just really enjoyed your company. And as I said, you're a very charming host, Francis. And I promise I won't give up on my YouTube. It is doing okay. Every day it picks up new subscribers. So I did think this morning, I know he's going to bring it up. I know he's going to bring it up. I have to have a video ready.
Yeah,
Because, I don't want to disappoint Francis.
yeah,
But you're such a charming host. I love your company, and I love sharing in your joy with your A team there. They're really sweet. They're just so loyal.
they are lovely. Please, my
Yes.
dear friends, if you're not yet subscribed to Catherine's channel, please do. She changed her name from Arroyo Yota to Arroyo Australian. So,
Austrian.
yeah, just as
Yeah.
you see on the
Yeah. I'm a
screen.
Royal Australian. A Royal
Australian,
Australian.
Australian, yeah,
Yeah.
bringing us the news from Australia,
Yeah.
one of the key players in the Commonwealth. We really love you, Catherine. We do.
Thank you.
When you get lost, not coming online, just remember we miss you and we always love to see you appear in our feeds.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
mm,
I get
mm,
it. I hear you
mm,
loud and clear. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
The King's
thank you,
birthday
ladies and
parade.
gentlemen.
Yeah, the King's birthday parade. Before we finish, I think we just briefly talk about it. It is
It's
on
the
Saturday,
14th, isn't
the
it?
14th, yeah,
Yes.
of
Well,
June.
I've paused my trip. My aunt is very disappointed, but the the UK government have got a terrorist alert on their site, and I
Mm,
just thought, oh, because I was going to stay about a month.
mm,
I want to go up to Ireland and Yorkshire. I was going to do the Tripping the Colour. So I thought I'll wait and I will go afterward, probably before
mm,
the end of the year, because my granddaughter has, looks like she might be getting a placement in Latvia on the corner with the Russian border, um, working on a NATO base. And I was going to come back through Romania and visit a friend. So that's also had a bearing on it as well. It's not just the terrorist alert, but my granddaughter, that's had some bearing because I want to come back
mm,
through visiting her as well. So there's a couple of personal factors, but also I was just a bit disturbed by that because um, there's 5 levels, and the government in every Western country, it's the same. They
mm,
try to dampen down any fear or anxiety, but it's a level 3 out of 5. So
mm,
if they're saying it's level 3, it's
mm.
it's a bit more
Significantly
than
high.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
even 3 out of 5. That's over the halfway mark.
mm,
So I've got quite a few British friends that I work alongside as volunteers. They go over to the UK, and when I told them, they were shocked. And they said, "Where did you hear that?" And I said, "It's on the government website." I said, "The
Mm,
UK website, but also Australia follow that, and
mm,
they've got a warning up there for Australians."
mm,
And we've got a lot of British people moving to Australia, believe it or not. A lot of millionaires are moving to Australia. Well, our millionaire class has grown. It's just gone through the roof, and they're all coming
mm,
from the UK.
mm.
So maybe I'll pick up a millionaire husband, and I'll go and stay in his palace.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, don't worry, our
Oh no,
lovely.
it's going to work out. I feel at peace about it. I'm not worried.
I
If my
know, yeah,
yeah,
I know that eventually
yeah,
you
it's going to
come
happen.
down,
Yeah,
yeah, you come down with these birthday parades happen every year. Okay,
yeah,
so you might come on the next one. But
yeah,
I will be there as well to bring you live on the source what will be going on.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
we
just
can do a live stream as well on the
yeah.
day.
Oh,
So,
we will. We
mhm,
will. I mean, I'd like to go before the end of the year, but I don't want to confirm that. I
mm,
need to
just
I
yet.
need to get some clarity around a
Yeah,
few things first. But
yeah.
I'm ready to go. My passport, my money, everything is ready. But I
Mm,
was just a bit alarmed about that, especially after what
mm,
happened with Southport. I thought they're always trying to dampen things down, and that itself is a red flag. But
mm, mm.
I gotta go. I'm on a pilgrimage.
Okay. Is that your sound on, Catherine?
Yeah. Yeah, my
Okay.
sound is on.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being with
Thank
us
you, Go Bucks.
today. Go back. Thank you. And we will again be on the weekend,
Yes, let's
hopefully.
do the weekend.
Yeah, the
Yes.
weekend. So we'll touch
Yeah.
base with you again over the
Yeah.
weekend. But
Yeah.
for now, I think we will leave Catherine to go about with her day's activities.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, guys.
yes, and all of you, just from us here, have a fantastic rest of the day. The weekend, I think, is on. Where are you at now?
Yeah.
Make sure to have plenty of rest, and we will catch up again very soon. We will.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
sweetie darlings. Mwah,
Bye.
mwah.
Bye.
Bye.